This is the first tutorial in the series of tutorials on Python, the programming language. And in this tutorial, I'm going to talk about the language, and we're going to see how we can download and install Python on Windows and set up the Python environment to start programming. So I'm sure before you guys learn how to program in Python, you want to know why Python is as popular as it is, and you're probably looking for reasons to learn the language. So we're going to discuss some of the most important features of the language, right? The first one is that Python is a beginner's language and it is really fun to work with, right? So if you haven't experimented with any programming language before, and if programming has always interested you but you haven't checked out any language like C or PHP or Java or C++ or any other language, then you should start with Python, because you'll pick it up really quickly, and as I said, it's fun to work with. So you're going to have a great time learning the language, and I can guarantee you that. And the second important feature of Python is that it is interactive. So whereas in other languages you have to build programs to test code, in Python you can simply fire commands to the Python interpreter at the command prompt, and your code will be processed at runtime itself. And Python is also object oriented, so you can easily wrap functionality around objects and create complicated apps really conveniently. And Python is also portable, so you can run it on numerous platforms. You can run it on Windows, on Linux, on Unix or Mac. You can do the same things that you do on Windows. You can do the exact same things on all the other platforms. So now let's check out how we can download and install the Python interpreter. So I want you guys to access your web browser, and I'm using Google Chrome, and just make a search for Python download, right? That's what I want you guys to search for, and just follow the first link that appears on the screen, and you'll be directed to the Python download page. And on this page you'll see a lot of files for a lot of different platforms. So if you are a Windows user, then you can download the Windows version. If you are a Mac user, then you can download the Mac user, depending on your system architecture, of course. If you've got a 64-bit platform, then you'll have to download the appropriate setup. And you can see that we have Python 3.3 setups, and we also have the Python 2.7 .6 set of files, and we do not want to download these because obviously Python 3.3.3 is the latest version of the programming language, and this is what we'll be learning in this course. And the Python 3.x is very different from Python 2.x series, and it's syntactically different, and there are like some logical differences in the languages too. And the reason why there is still support for Python 2.x series is that there are a lot of guys who still have their websites running on Python 2.x, and there are a lot of software applications that have been built in 2.x series, and you can't just abandon those guys, right? So that's why the Python 2.x setups are also still available, and if you want, you can download these two and maybe have a reference book and see what are the differences between the two languages. But I don't think that's a good idea, because this is the way of the future. So definitely it's worth learning the Python 3.3 language and not the Python 2.7 language, right? So just select the file that's most appropriate for you, and when you click on it, the download starts automatically. And I'm not going to download it because I already have the setup file, so I'll cancel the download. And the setup file looks like this. I saved it on my desktop, and you need to double click on it and then give it the permission to run, and then you have to click on next for this option. And if you want to just install for yourself and not other users, then you can select this radio button. But then I'm just going to install it for all users, and then it asks you where you want to save all the files. So I want to save in my computer's C directory, so I won't make any changes here either. And this is a place where I want you guys to make one change, and I would suggest this to you. I would strongly recommend if you add the python.exe path to your environment variable path, right? So the reason for this we'll see in the next tutorial, and you just do this, okay? Because if you don't do this, then you would have to explicitly copy the path of the Python interpreter and paste it in the path environment variable, and that's actually a lot of work, so you don't want to do that. So just click on this and then click on next, and this might take some time, like a couple of minutes. So once the installation finishes, you just have to click on the finish button. And one more thing that I'm going to suggest you guys to do is that you can make a copy of the Python GUI application or the Python command line on your desktop or your taskbar, right? Because we're going to access those applications quite a lot in this course, so it makes sense to have their links on the desktop so that we can access them frequently and conveniently. So I'm going to go to start and then type in Python IDLE, and this is what it is, and I'm going to right click on it and then just click on pin to taskbar so that I have this icon right here, right? So thank you for watching this tutorial. In the next tutorial we're going to start programming in Python, and we're going to check out lots of features of the language in this course, and it's going to be a comprehensive course, but I try to make it as entertaining as possible for you guys so that we all just have fun learning the language together, right? So see you in the next one, and you may subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and take care. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is the second tutorial in this course, and in this tutorial we are going to see how we can access the Python command line application, and how we can use a Python GUI application or the Python IDLE. And we're going to make our first script file, and in the script file we're going to have like just one line of code, and we're going to display a message on the screen. And this is what we do when we learn any programming language. We make the hello world application first, and the purpose of doing that is not to learn any programming trick, but just to familiarize ourselves with the programming environment, how to make a program and how to execute it, and where we see the output, and stuff like that. So that's what we're going to do now. And I'll first get my Python command line application, and when I click on start, I can type in Python, and you can select the Python command line application from the program list. And when you click on it, when you get the program up, you would see this window, and in the window on the first line you would see the version of Python that you have currently installed on your system. So on my system I have the latest version, Python 3.3.3 installed. And I see a few more things, like if I want help from Python, then I can type in help and press the enter key. If I want to see copyright or credit or license information, then I can type in these three words and press the enter key. So there's some stuff that I can do here, but what we're going to do instead is type in print and then get in a pair of parentheses, and within parentheses I'll get in a pair of double quotes, and within those double quotes I'll type in my message. So let's say I want to display hello YouTubers on screen, right? A welcome message. So I'll type in that, and when I press the enter key I see that message, right? So these three symbols that you see, the lesson symbols or whatever you want to call them, and the cursor blinking after that, this is what is known as the interactive programming mode in Python, right? So this is the interpreter waiting for you to type in Python commands, and as and when you type in something and press the enter key, your code, if it can be interpreted and executed, then it is done. And if your code is if it's got errors, then you would get traceback errors, right? So we're going to talk about that later on, but I just want to show you guys in this tutorial how you can just display a simple message to users on screen, and this is what you have to do that. And if you do not want to use the Python command line application, or if you don't have access to it, which is pretty unlikely, if you've installed Python correctly then you will have access to this application, but in case you don't have it, then you can also use the Microsoft command prompt program, right? So I have a link to that on my taskbar, and when I click on that I see this, and this is different from the Python interpreter. But if you guys remember in the last tutorial when we installed the Python language, there was a step in the installation process wherein we were asked whether we want to include the path to the Python interpreter in the environment variable path, and we check that option, right? So the path has been set, and to invoke the interpreter, all that I have to do is type in Python here, and when I do that and press the enter key, I get the interpreter in those three symbols again, right? So if I type in print and then within parentheses and double quotes the same message, hello YouTubers, then it would be executed in the same way. So there you go, I see the same message. Now the next thing that we're going to check out is, what if you do not want to program in the interactive mode, but instead you want to make a program or a script file and then execute that. So I type in the exit function, that is exit with a set of parentheses, and press the enter key to get my prompt back, right? And then I'll minimize this program and open up Notepad, right? I want a text editor, and you cannot use Microsoft Word for this, because when you create a text file using Microsoft Word, a lot of code gets saved along with your text, and that code cannot be translated by the Python interpreter. So you need a simple basic text editor program, something like Notepad or Notepad++, but as I said, you cannot use Microsoft Word, and I'm sure that you have at least one text editor program installed in your system, if not too many, right? So in the file you have to type in the same thing, like print and then within parentheses and double quotes, hello YouTubers, or whatever message you want to display, and then save the file. And this is what is important. You can give your file any name, and I'm going to call it first_script, but the extension is very important. You cannot have any extension other than .py, right? So if you don't specify the .py extension here, then your file will be saved with the .txt extension as a normal text file, and we don't want that. We want the Python interpreter to be able to figure out that this is actually a Python script file, and it has to treat it that way. So I'll save it on my desktop, and I'll get my command prompt back, and I'll change my directory to the desktop, and then I'll type in Python and then the name of my file, which is first_script.py, and when I do that and press the enter key, I see the message hello YouTubers, right? So we haven't actually gotten in the interactive mode. The Python interpreter was invoked, the file was executed, the output was fetched, it was displayed, and then the normal prompt was returned to us, and we're still not in the interactive mode, right? So this is different from what we did a few minutes ago. And if you want to execute the file using the Python IDLE or the GUI application, then you'll have to first open that program, and I have created a link to that on my taskbar here again, because I know that I'll be accessing it a lot. And so you open the program, and you go to file and then click on open, and then you go to the location where you have your file, and I have it on my desktop. So go to my desktop and then double click on the file, and there you go. In another window, I see the code that I have in my file, right? So if you want to make any modification to this code, like instead of YouTubers, if you want to see hello world instead, then you type in world, and then you save your file. You can press Ctrl S, or you can go to file and then click on save here, and then you go to run, and then you click on run module. And if you want to do it using your keyboard, then you can just press the key F5, and when I do that, in the shell I see the message hello world, right? So this is how you execute a Python script file using the Python IDLE or the GUI application. And to be honest, we're not going to use the command line application much in this course, and I don't think I'm going to use it at all. In fact, we're just going to use this application because it's a lot more user friendly, and it's a lot more convenient to do things using this. So that's it for now. In the next tutorial, we're going to check out more interesting features of the Python programming language, and I'm very excited about this course, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun together. And you may subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is the third tutorial in this course, and in this tutorial we'll be talking about how we can include comments in our script files, and a few more interesting and important things that we need to know before we dive deep into the fundamentals of Python programming language, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll fire up my Python IDLE, that is the GUI application that we're going to use, and I'll just open the file that I created in the last tutorial. And if you guys remember, I named it first_script, and this file just has one executable statement at the moment, and I just have a print function call, and within parentheses and double quotes I have some text, and if we run this file the way it is, then we see the text. And I'll just run it to refresh your memory. So when I press the F5 button, I see the text that's there in the double quotes, and that's hello world. Right now, let's say you want to add some explanatory text into this file that you don't want the interpreter to mess with. Like, you don't want the interpreter to do anything with that text, or with that information. You just want that information to be there, so that if anyone has a look at the code that's there in the file, or if you revisit your file, let's say 6 months later, then what's the purpose of having that program there, right? So to include a comment in a script file in Python, what you have to do is you have to start your comment with the hash symbol or the pound symbol, right? So you type in that, and then you can type in anything that you want to type. So I just type in, this is a comment. And if you think that your comment is going to span over multiple lines, it's not going to end in one line, then at the beginning of each new line, you still have to type in the hash symbol, right? So this is different from a language like C, in which you can have a slash and an asterisk symbol at the beginning of your comment, and a slash and an asterisk symbol at the end of your comment, and you can span your comment over as many lines as you want. You can't do that in Python. At the beginning of each new line, you have to put in the hash symbol. So this is line 2. I mean, these comments don't really make much sense, but then when you make big programs, and this is something that I would suggest you guys to do, get in the habit of commenting your code as much as possible, because later on, as I said, when you visit your code, it just makes sense to see what you see, right? So I hope you guys get the point. Save the file, and when I run it, I see that I still get my message hello world, but then the comments have not been displayed. So Python really hasn't done anything with the comments. The interpreter has just ignored the comments, right? The next thing that I'm going to show you guys is I'm going to create a couple of string variables, and show you a few things that you need to know about strings, right? So I'm going to talk about variables later on in the course in a lot of detail, and also about strings later on, but then in this tutorial I just want you guys to know a couple of things. So the way you create a variable in Python is you give it a name. So I'll call my first string variable str1, right? And then you use the assignment operator, or the equal to symbol, and then since I'm creating a string variable, I'll have to use double quotes, and I'll put in some text in my string. So I'll just type in my string. And if you guys don't know what a variable is, you can think of it for the moment as a container in the memory, and you can put some stuff in it, right? So we're just storing some characters in it at the moment, and you can store like lots of different kinds of things in variables in Python. But for this tutorial, I just wanted to work with a string variable, so that's why I've created one. And when I press the enter key, I don't see any message or anything, but my variable has been created, and I can confirm that by just typing in the name of the variable at the prompt. So if I type in str1 and press the enter key, I see that I get the text that's there in the variable, and I also see a pair of single quotes, one at the beginning and one at the end, and that's to indicate that this variable is a string variable. And I can also use the print function to see the content of my variable. So since I've already used quotations to create my variable, I don't have to use quotations within the parentheses here. I can simply type in the name of my variable, which is str1, and when I press the enter key, I simply see the text, and I don't see the quotations around the string, because I've used a print function here, right? So what if you want to have a new line between several words that you have in your string? So let's say if I want a new line, instead of a space character, I want a new line between the words my and string. So if I create another variable str2, put the assignment operator, get in my first double quotation mark and write the first word, which is my, and then press the enter key, I'll get an error. So that's not allowed in Python, but then there's a way around it. If I want to have a new line between several words or sentences in my string, then what I can do is I can use triple quotes instead of using double quotes or single quotes, right? So I'll type in str2 as my variable name. I'll put in the assignment operator, and instead of using the single quote twice or the double quote once, I'll get in the double quote symbol thrice. And now when I type in my and press the enter key, I see that I don't get an error message. Instead, the cursor starts blinking on another line, a new line, and I can type in my second word, string, and I'll have to end my string with the same quotation sequence and the same quotation symbols that I use at the beginning of the string, right? So if I've used 3 double quotes, then I have to put in 3 double quotes here. And when I press the enter key now, I get my prompt back. And if I type in the name of my variable str2 and press the enter key, I see that I get the string, and I also see the new line escape sequence between the two words, which is an indication of the fact that there is a new line character between the two words. And if I use the print function to see the text in the string, I'll type in str2 here. When I press the enter key now, I see that the string is formatted the way I created it, and I see the two words on 2 different lines. The last thing that I want to show in this tutorial is what you have to do to have 2 executable statements on the same line in a script file in Python. So I have just one executable statement, which is the print statement here. Let me have another one. I'll have another print function call. In double quotes, I'll type in something else like what's up and save the file. And when I run it, I see that I get the 2 strings on the output screen, right? Now, what if I wanted to have these 2 print statements on the same line? Not the output statements, but just the executable statements. What if I don't want my program to be too lengthy, in the sense, I don't have to scroll down to see the code, so I want to have like 2-3 statements on one line. So if I put a backspace and have these 2 functions on the same line and execute the program, I get an error message. Python tells me that that syntax is invalid. So what I can do to get around this is I can have a semicolon between the 2 print functions. I'll save the file, and now when I execute it, I see that I don't get an error message. Instead, the values are displayed, these string values are displayed, right? So this is what you have to do if you want to have 2 executable statements on one line, or even more than 2. You just have to separate the statements with the semicolon character. And if you create a variable in Python and you restart your shell, then that variable is lost. So let me create another variable, str3, and I'll give it a value. This is a string, and I press the enter key to create it. And if I type in the name of the variable and press the enter key, I see that the text is displayed. Now I'll go to shell and I'll restart the shell, and you can do this by also pressing Control and F6 together. And when I do that, the shell is restarted. And now when I type str3 and press the enter key, I get an error message, and Python tells me that the variable does not exist. So this is a very important thing, and you should make a note of it, that if you have created variables and if you restart your shell, then those variables are lost. So you should be careful about this. And that's it for now. In the next tutorial, we're going to talk more about variables, and we'll see how we can assign values to variables, and we'll check out some more interesting features. So thank you so much for watching this tutorial, and you may subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is the 4th tutorial in this course, and in this tutorial we are going to talk about variables in Python. And a variable is nothing but a container in your computer's memory for some data, right? And Python, unlike other languages, does not require you to mention type of variables, nor do you have to explicitly create or declare them before assigning values. So it's obviously very convenient. And in the last tutorial, we checked out how we can create a string variable, and we did create a few, and we assigned string values to the variables as well. And now I'm going to demonstrate how you can create a variable with a numeric value in it, right? And there are lots of different kinds of things that you can store in your variables, strings and numbers and whole numbers and fractional numbers, and you can also create lists and tuples and dictionaries, and we're going to talk about all of that in this course. But for the time being, let's create a variable that has a number in it. So I'll call it var1 or variable 1, and I'll use the assignment operator or the equal to symbol, and I'll give it the value 55. And when I press the enter key, I don't see a message, but when I type in var1 and press the enter key, now I see the value that's there in the number. And if I want to create a variable with a fractional value, something like 37.86, I'll type in that and I press the enter key. And again, if I type in var2 and var, that's the name I've given to the variable, and press the enter key, I see the value that's there in it. And I can also use the print function to see the value of the variable, and I'll type in print, and within parentheses I'll just have to type in the name of the variable. So I type in var and press the enter key, I see the value in it, right? So the next thing that we're going to check out is how we can assign one value to multiple variables on a single line, right? So let's say I want to, assign the value 100 to three variables, variable 1, variable 2, and variable 3. So I'll type in var1 for variable 1 and then the equal to symbol, and I'll type in var2 for variable 2, another equal to symbol, and then var3 for variable 3, and then after the final assignment operator, I'll type in the value that I want to assign. So if I want to assign 100, I'll type in 100 and I'll press the enter key. And if you guys are wondering that, okay, var1 we already created, and we're assigning a new value now, that's allowed in Python, right? So if that's actually the purpose of having a variable. A variable can have different values. You can change the values in variables, whereas in a constant, if you give it a value, then throughout the life of the program the constant sticks with that value, right? So now if I type in var1, then I get 100. For var2 I'll get 100 again, and var3 will also yield 100, right? So the same value has been stored in the three different variables. And another thing that I want to show you guys is how you can assign values simultaneously to multiple variables but different values. So in this case we assigned the same value 100. If you want to assign different values to the three variables but you want to do that in the same line, then the way you do it is you'll type in the names of your variables, so var1, and then you use the comma symbol to separate the variable names this time, so var2 and var3, and then you use just one assignment operator, or you have to type in the equal to symbol just once, and then you can type in your value. So let's say I want to store 100 in var1 and then 65.82 in var2, and then I want to store a string in var3, so I just type in string within double quotes, and when I press the enter key, my variables have been created, values have been stored, and I can check that. So var2 has 65.82, var3 has the string in it, and var1 should have 100, and when I press the enter key, I see the value, right? So this tutorial was supposed to be an introduction to variables, and in the next tutorial we're going to talk about numbers and strings in more detail. And thank you so much for watching this one. I'll see you in the next tutorial, and you may subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and take care. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is the 5th tutorial in this course, and in this tutorial we're going to talk about numeric variables and string variables in a little more detail. And the first thing that we're going to do is create a variable called a, and I'll just give it the value 5. So you type in a, you type in the equal to symbol or the assignment operator, and then the value that you want to assign to your variable. So in this case I want to assign 5, so press the enter key and my variable has been created. I can confirm that by just typing in the variable name, and I see that 5 is displayed, so that's the value that the variable contains. Now let's say I changed the value of a to 7, right? So to do that I'll just have to type in a again, the equal to symbol, and the new value, which is 7, and when I press the enter key now and type in a and press enter again, I see the new value 7. So what Python does is it creates an object when you assign a value to a variable, right? So when we assigned 5 to a, an object 5 was created and a was linked to it, right? The object was created in the memory and the variable was linked to it. Now when I gave the variable a new value, when I assigned it the value 7, then another object 7 was created, and a was the link between a and 5 was broken, and a new link was established between a and 7, right? So that's how Python works. When you reinitialize a variable, a new object is created and a new connection is made between the variable and the new object, right? And if you want to assign a fractional value to a number, that's also very simple. So I create another variable b, and I'll give it the value 36.24, and I press the enter key, and I can use a print function as well to see the value of my variables, and this is something that we already know now. So when I use a print function to see what b contains, I get on screen 36.24, right? And you can use the delete method to delete variables from memory. So I'll have to type in del, and I'll give a space, and when I type in a variable name, so I have two variables at the moment, a and b, so I'll type in a and press the enter key, and now if I'll see what value a contains, then I'll get a traceback error, and the error is that a is not defined, so the variable has been removed from the memory and Python cannot find it anymore, right? And there are 4 data types that are supported by Python for numbers and integers and integers are values like 5, 7, 9, 18, 130, 188, right? So whole number values are integer values. And then you also have a float data type, and float values are fractional values like 36.24 or 17.98, etc. And then you also have the long data type, which is used to have like really big numbers. You have to add the alphabet L, and you won't really have to work with the long data type much unless you're dealing with astronomical figures, right? And then you also have the complex data type in Python, and a complex number has two parts, as you guys know. One is the real part and the other one is the imaginary part. And the way you work with complex numbers in your mathematics textbooks, it's the same way for Python. So if you have to create a complex number, let's create a couple. In fact, I'll call one myvar, and I'll give it the value. Let's say this variable has a real part of 7 and an imaginary part of -4. So I'll type in 7 and then the minus sign and then the imaginary part 4, and then I'll type in the alphabet J, right? So the number that has the alphabet J next to it, that's the imaginary part, and the number that doesn't have that is the real part. So 7 minus 4j is a complex number, and I can see its value by just typing in myvar. And let's create another one. I'll call this one yourvar, and I'll give it the value 3 plus 10j. And I can perform arithmetic operations on these numbers too, and we're going to talk about operations in a lot of detail later on in the course. But let's say you just want to add these two numbers, so myvar plus yourvar, I'll just type in that. When I press the enter key, I get the result as 10 plus 6j. So what happens is the real parts of both numbers are added, so 7 plus 3 is 10, and the imaginary parts of both numbers are added, so 10 minus 4 is 6, so that's why you get the result 10 plus 6j. And let's talk a little about strings now. So a string, as we know, is a set of characters enclosed within quotation marks, and in this tutorial we'll create a string variable and check out some basic stuff that we can do with it, right? So I'll create a string and I'll put in the text hello world in it, and of course we know how we can see the values in strings by using the print function or by simply typing the name of our variable, and the text is displayed. Now let's say you want to get a part of the string and not the entire string. So suppose you want to extract the word hello from the string. The way you can do that is by typing the name of the string, and then you can get a pair of square brackets, and these are not parentheses but square brackets, and then you have to specify the index position of your first character. And in Python, in a string, the index position of the first character is 0 and the index position of the second character is 1, and so on and so forth, right? So if I simply type in 0 here and press the enter key, then H, that is the first alphabet in the string, will be returned to me. And if I want to extract an entire portion of the string, then I have to specify the index position of the beginning character. So in this case it will be 0, and then you'll have to type in the colon, and then you'll have to specify the number of characters that you want to pull out. So I want to pull out the first 5 characters for the word hello, so I'll type in 5 here, and when I press the enter key, the word hello is returned to me, right? And I can do the same thing within a print function as well. And let's say you want to extract the second word world from the string. So to do that, I'll type in str, and within square brackets I'll type in the index position of the alphabet W in the string. And if we check, H is 0, E is 1, L is 2, the second L is 3, O is 4, the space is 5, and W is 6. So I'll have to type in 6 here, and since the word world is the last word in the string, I can just type in a colon and not type anything else after that, right? So if you just specify the colon and nothing after it, then Python extracts the component of the string from the beginning character till the end of the string, right? So world, the entire word will be extracted. Press the enter key, I get my word. And the next thing that we're going to check out is, what if you want to display a string a bunch of times? So if you have a website and you want to display the message good morning like 15 times, then let's say we want to display hello world 4 times. So I'll type in str and then the asterisk symbol or the multiplication operator, and the number of times you want the string to be repeated. So in this case I want it to be repeated, let's say 4 times, and when I press the enter key, I see the word the string hello world repeated 4 times, right? And this is not very useful. I mean, it's not useful in the current form at least, but then there are some things that you can do with this that are interesting, and we'll be checking those out later on in the course. And let's say you want to concatenate strings, and What I mean by that is you want to add something to the string hello world and display that, right? So to do that, I'll type in str, the name of the variable, and then the addition symbol this time, and then within double quotes I can type in any other string like what's up, right? And when I press the enter key now, I see the string hello world first, a space character, and then what's up, right? And that's because I have a space character here in the second string. So that's it for now. In the next tutorial, we're going to talk about lists and tuples. Lists and tuples are data types in Python, and really interesting and important data types. And I hope you guys are having fun in this course, and you may subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next tutorial, and take care. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is the 6th tutorial in this course, and in this tutorial we are going to talk about lists and tuples. And a list in Python is a hybrid data type, and what we mean by that is that list can contain items of different data types, right? So a list can have a string in it, a character in it, a number, a whole number, a fractional number, a complex number, right? So if you have different values belonging to different data types and you want to put all of them together, then you have to create a list. And a list in Python is similar to an array in C or C++. But the difference is that whereas in C or C++, if you have an array, then all the elements of the array have to be of the same data type. So if you're working with an array of characters, then all elements have to be characters. If you're working with an array of numbers, then all elements have to be numbers. Whereas in list, as I said, it's a hybrid data type, so you can have different kinds of values in it, right? So the way we create a list in Python is by using square brackets. So I'll just create one, and I'll call my list, and I'll use the assignment operator or the equal to symbol to create the list, and then I'll get in a pair of square brackets, and then within the square brackets I'll specify the elements. So let's say I want to have a word, and of course if you're using single character values, then you have to use single quotes, and you have to use quotes with the strings as well. And I'll have another element, I'll call this one 2, and then I'll have another element, I'll call this one 3. So 3 string values, and then maybe I'll have some numbers too, so whole number 4, and then another number, but this time a fractional number 5.0, and then let's also throw in a complex number, so 6 plus 2j, right? And I'll press the enter key, and my list is created. To see the content of this list, I can use the print function, and I can also just type in the name of the list, which is my list. So when I do that, I see all the elements of the list. And as I said, we can also use the print function. So within parentheses, I'll just type in the name of the list, my list, and when I press the enter key, again I see the elements, right? So what if you just want to see the first element in the list, and the way the indices are assigned to the several elements in the list, that is the same as it is with strings. So the first element gets the index 0, the second one gets the index 1, and so on and so forth. So if you just want to see the first element, you type in the name of the list within square brackets, the index position, which is 0, and there you go, you see the first element is 1. And if you want to see all the elements in the list starting from the second element, so the index position of that is 1, and then you put a colon, and since we want to see all the elements till the end, we don't have to specify the number of elements, and I simply press the enter key. So there you go, we see 2, 3, 4, 5.0, and 6 plus 2j, and not the first element, which is 1, right? And if you want to repeat the contents of your list several times, let's say if I want to repeat the contents of the list thrice and display on screen, I'll type in my list and then the asterisk symbol and then the number of times I want to repeat the contents. So if I want to repeat by 3, I'll type in 3, press the enter key, and there you go, I get a new list in which all the elements are repeated thrice. So you get list elements once and then again and then again. Right, now let's create another list, and I'll call this one new list, and I'll use the assignment operator in square brackets, and I'll give it value 7 comma the word 8, and then I'll give it the value 9.0, right? And if suppose I want to create a list that has the values from both the lists, my list and new list, then I'll have to use the addition symbol or the operator that we used to concatenate string values in the last tutorial, right? So if I just want to display the result on screen, I'll type in my list, then the addition symbol, and then the name of the second list, new list, and there you go, I get a new list in which I have the elements from the first list, my list, and then elements from the second list, right? And another important thing that you need to know about lists now is that you can update lists. So let's say in the second list, new list, I want to update the first element, which is 7, to the word 7 instead of the number 7, right? So I can do that. All I have to do is type in the name of my list, within square brackets the index position of the element that you want to update. So I want to update the first element, so the index position of that is 0, the assignment operator, and then the new value. So I want to give it the value 7. And now if I see the contents of the new list, I see the word 7 instead of the number 7, right? So this is possible with lists. And now let's talk a little about tuples. And tuples are also sequence data types and are similar to lists, but have two important points of difference in comparison with lists. And the first one is a syntactical difference, and that is that tuples are created using parentheses and not square brackets. And the second one is that tuples cannot be updated. So let me just create a tuple and show you guys how it works. So I'll call it my tuple, and I'll use the assignment operator, and as I said, we'll have to use parentheses and not square brackets. So I'll get in a pair, and then I'll have some values in it, like a word, which is a string, and then another string, but I'll call this a number, and then I'll finally have a number. And when I press the enter key, the tuple is created. I can see the values in it, and if you see that when I display the contents of a tuple, the elements are enclosed within parentheses, whereas when you display the contents of a list, the elements are enclosed within square brackets. So that way you can know what is a tuple and what is a list. And you can obviously use the print function to display the contents, and I'm not going to show you guys that. And if you want to see the first element in your tuple, then obviously you have to use square brackets, type in the index position of it, which will be 0. Same labeling rules work here. The first element gets index 0, second one gets 1, and so on and so forth. And if you want to see the contents second element onwards, again then square brackets, type in the index position of the second element, and then a colon, press the enter key, you just get a number in 10. The first element is not displayed. If you want to repeat contents, same thing, put in the asterisk symbol number of times. So if you want to repeat by 4, there you go, you get a new tuple with the values repeated 4 times. And lastly, if you try to update the contents of a tuple, so if I try to change the value of the first element or the second element, let's say, from a number to an actual number, so the index of the second element will be 1. I'll use the assignment operator, and this is what we did in the case of list like a couple of minutes ago. If I try to store the value 55 in it, I'll get a trace back, and it tells me that tuple object does not support item assignment, right? So that's an error, and that means that tuples cannot be updated. So that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I'll see you in the next one, in which we discuss dictionaries. And I hope you guys are having fun, and you may subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is the 7th tutorial in this course, and in this tutorial we are going to talk about dictionaries in Python. So if you worked with the Perl or PHP, then you must be familiar with the concepts of hashes and associative arrays. So a dictionary in Python is similar to hashes in Perl or associative arrays in PHP. And what a dictionary means is, if you worked with an Oxford dictionary, and I'm sure you guys have, then what we see in an Oxford dictionary is that you have lots of words, and then those words have meanings. So a dictionary in Python is similar to an Oxford dictionary in the sense that instead of words you have keys, and then instead of their meanings you have values to those keys, right? So there are two ways of creating a dictionary in Python, and we're going to check out both ways in this tutorial. The first method is you give in a name to your dictionary. So I'm going to call mine address, and then you use the assignment operator or the equal to symbol, and you follow that up with a pair of curly braces. And you don't have to type in anything between the curly braces. Since this is the first way, there's another way in which you have to type in your keys and values between the curly braces. But then in this method, you just have to get an empty curly braces. And when we create strings, we use the single quotes or double quotes or triple quotes. And when we create lists, we use the square brackets. When we create tuples, we use the parentheses. With dictionaries, we have to use the curly braces. And I'll press the enter key now. So my dictionary has been created. It doesn't have any data at the moment, but it's there in the memory, right? So let's say I'm creating an address book, in which I want to have names of people as the words or the keys and their email addresses as the meanings or values, right? So I'll add my data by typing the name of my dictionary address, and then within square brackets I'll type in my key. So let's say I'm adding the email address of John, and John is a string value, so that's why I'll have to enclose it within double quotes. And keys don't necessarily have to be string values, they can be, you know, numeric values as well. So I'll do this, and then I'll type in the equal to symbol and then the value for it. So let's say the email address of John is john@gmail.com. right? I'll press the enter key, and there you go. My first key value relationship within the address dictionary has been created. So I'll add in more data to this dictionary. So let's say I also want to add the email address of Adam. So equal to symbol, and then again the email field is also a string value, so that's why I'll have to enclose it within double quotes, adam@gmail.com, and then I'll add another value, Peter, right? So the email address of Peter can be peter@gmail.com, right? So I have 3 key value relationships in this dictionary at the moment. And if you want to see the contents of your dictionary, then you can use the print function, of course. Within parentheses, I'll just type in the name of my dictionary, which is address, and then I press the enter key. There you go. I see the data displayed to me within curly braces. So, you know, print function has made it obvious to me that this data is in a dictionary, and you see that the colon is used as the separator between the keys and values. So adam@gmail.com, this is a key value relationship, and then there's a comma symbol that separates the first key value relationship with the second key value relationship, and then John is a key, and then john@gmail.com is a value to it, and Peter is a key, and peter@gmail.com is a value for this key, right? The second way of creating a dictionary is as follows. You have to supply the name of your dictionary again, and I'll call this one new, and then you type in the curly braces, but this time you have to mention your keys and values within the curly braces, right? And I somehow preferred this way because, you know, I don't like this way. For some reason I just like the second way. And let's say I want to have my first key as Apple, right? And I'll add a description to Apple as a value. So I'll type in Apple within single quotes, and just the way we saw print displaying the output of the dictionary to us on the previous line, we're going to use the same syntax to create our dictionary. So I'll type in a colon symbol to separate the key Apple with the value for Apple, and Apple is a fruit, so I'll simply type in that. And let's say I want to have another key value relationship, so I'll get a comma symbol, and then let's say my second key is going to be iPhone, right? So oops, there's a typo there. So iPhone, and then the value for it, obviously I'll have to, you know, get the colon symbol here to separate the key iPhone with its value, and iPhone is what? It's a phone, so, you know, that's a no-brainer. And then let's say I'll have a numeric key now, so I'll have 7 as a key, and then the description to 7 can be a string value, so 7 is a number, right? So that's good enough. When I press the enter key, my dictionary has been created, and I don't necessarily have to use the print function to see the content of the dictionary. I can just type in the name of the dictionary and the enter key, and when I do that, I see that the keys and values have been displayed. Apple is a fruit, iPhone is a phone, and 7 is a number, right? Next, what we're going to see is how we can simply see the keys in a dictionary and not the values. So what you have to do for that is type in the name of your dictionary, and then use the dot operator and type in the keys method, right? So you type in KEYS, and then follow that up with a pair of empty parentheses. And when you press the enter key, you see that you see only the keys in your address dictionary, which the keys are Adam, John, and Peter. And if you just want to see the values, then you type in the name of your dictionary, you know, then the dot operator, and then values, right? With the empty parentheses, you press the enter key, and there you go, you just see the values. So that's it for now. In the next tutorial, we are going to talk about data type conversion in Python, which is again very important. And I hope you guys are having fun in this course, and you may subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. See you in the next tutorial. Till then, take care. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is the 8th tutorial in this course, and in this tutorial we are going to talk about data type conversion in Python. And we use built-in methods to convert values from one data type to another, right? And when we convert an object from a data type to another, a new object is created and the older one exists in the memory till the time you don't restart your shell or shut your shell, right? So we're going to check out a few built-in methods, the popular ones that you might be using in the course, in this course, as well as, you know, if you make applications in Python, then you might find some of these built-in methods handy, right? So the first method that we're going to see is to convert a float value to an integer value, right? And the method that you use is the int method, and then the way you use it is you type int, and then within parentheses you type in a float value, the value that you want to convert to you know, its corresponding integer value. So I'll type in 55.89, and when I press the enter key, I see that you know, the output is just 55, right? So the decimal part or the fractional part has been removed from the number, and I just see the whole number value, right? And the next method that we're going to check out is the float method, and this method is used to convert an integer value to a float value. So let's say I pass 36, which is an integer value, as an argument to this function, and I press the enter key, I see 36.0. So it cannot add any random number, like, you know, it cannot convert it to 36.13 because, you know, that'll be stupid. So, you know, it's not going to do that. It's just going to add 0 and a decimal point to make it a float value, right? And then let's say you want to convert an integer value to a string value. The method that you use is str method, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a string variable, my underscore string, and then I'll type in the assignment operator or the equal to symbol, and then the str function, and then value between the parentheses for this function as an argument. So let's say I want to convert the number 9500 to its corresponding string value. When I press the enter key, I don't see any message, but then when I type my string and press the enter key, I see that 9500 is now displayed within single quotes. And you know, the fun part of doing this is that if suppose you want to extract individual digits out of a number, right? So out of 9500, let's say you just want to extract the digit 5 for, you know, some application that you're making, then, you know, just see how convenient it gets, because now I can type in my string and then within square brackets the index for the second digit, which will be 1, right? Because the index of the first digit is obviously 0. When I press the enter key, I just see 5, right? So this way I can extract individual digits or, you know, some digits out of the entire number. And the next method that we're going to check out is the tuple method, and this method is used to convert a string to a tuple, right? So I'll type in tuple and then within parentheses any string, and I'll just type in this is a string, and when I press the enter key, I see that I get the entire thing within parentheses, right? So if you guys remember, when we create a tuple, we use parentheses, and that's why the entire thing has been enclosed within parentheses, and the space characters are also there as individual elements in the tuple, right? And the next method that we're going to check out is the list method, and this, as you guys might have guessed already, is used to convert a string value to a list, right? So again, I will type in something. This will be a list, and when I press the enter key, I see all the values being displayed within square brackets, because square brackets are used with lists, and you know, all the characters in the string have basically been converted to individual list elements, right? The next function that we're going to check out is the chr function, and this is my favorite. I use it a lot, and this function is used to obtain the corresponding ASCII value, sorry, the character value of a number. You know, you get the ASCII character value of an ASCII number, right? So let's say I want to get the, you know, character value for the number 65 in the ASCII table. And if you guys don't know what ASCII values are, then you can Google them up. And ASCII stands for American Standard Code for Information Interchange, and you know, it's something that all programming languages use, you know, in some way or the other to, you know, obtain binary values of character values, right? So H has an ASCII value, and the alphabet T has an ASCII value, and then, you know, lowercase alphabets have different ASCII values from uppercase alphabets, and that's how, you know, characters are distinguished, you know, by programming languages. So when I press the enter key now, I see that I get A. So the ASCII value corresponding to the number 65 is capital A. And the reverse, to do the reverse of this, you use the ORD function, and this function gives you the number ASCII value of a character. So let's say I want to know the corresponding ASCII value of the alphabet small a. When I do that, when I press the enter key, I see 97. So the ASCII value of capital A is 65 and ASCII value of small a is 97, right? And if you want to find out the hex code of a number, then you use the hex function. Let's say I want to find the hex code of 4500. I press the enter key, I see that the hex code is 1194, and then you see 0 and x as the initial part of the output, and that's because whenever you use the hex function, you get these two numbers along with the actual value, and you'll always have these in the beginning. And if you want to find out the octal value of a number, then you use the OCT function, and that's the oct function, and let's put in 4500 again as an argument. So the octal code for this is 10624, and you see 0 and O as the initial part of the value. And then if you want to find out the binary value of a number, let's say I want to find the binary value of 42, I'll use the bin function, or the it's basically an abbreviation for binary. And when I press the enter key, I see 0b as the initial part of the output, so this means that it's binary value, and then 101010, that's the binary value for 42. So these are all the functions that I wanted to discuss in this tutorial, and in the next tutorial we're going to begin our discussions on operators, and I hope you guys are having fun in this course, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is the 9th tutorial in this course, and in this tutorial we are going to begin our discussion on operators. And an operator in programming is a symbol that allows you to perform an operation, such as we use the addition symbol to perform the addition operation on numbers, and then we use the minus symbol or the hyphen to perform the subtraction operation. So likewise, there are lots of operators that Python allows us to use. So in Python we have 7 kinds of operators, and the 7 kinds are arithmetic, then you have comparison or relational operators, then you have the assignment operators, and then you have logical operators, and then bitwise operators, and what are the other two? You have membership operators, and you have the identity operators, right? So these are all the 7 different kinds of operators that we have in Python, and in this tutorial we're going to talk about the arithmetic operators and comparison operators, and in the next few tutorials we are going to talk about the rest, right? So if you want to add values, then you can use the addition symbol, as I said. So I'm just going to work with the numbers and operators to just demonstrate the operators to you, and this is really good stuff. So if I want to add 10 to 15, I'll type in 10, then the addition symbol, which is the addition arithmetic operator, and then 15. So 10 and 15 here are known as operands, and the addition symbol is known as the operator, right? So when I press the enter key, I see the result as 25, and if I want to subtract 10 from 15, I type in 15 first and then 10 later, with the minus symbol as the subtraction operator in between, and I get the output as 5. If I want to multiply 10 and 15, I'll use the asterisk symbol or the multiplication operator, and the two operands. The answer is 150, and then if I want to divide 15 by 10, I'll type in 15 first, then the slash or the division operator, and then the second operand 10, and there you go, the result is 1.5. And if I want to find out the remainder of the division of 15 by 10, so we know that 10 does not perfectly divide 15, it leaves a remainder of 5 when you try to divide 15 by 10. So when I press the enter key here, I see 5, and percentage symbol here is known as the modulus operator. And if you want to find out the power of something raised to something, so let's say you want to find out 3 raised to the power 2, then you can use the exponentiation operator, in which is 2 asterisk symbols put together. So you type in 3 first. If you want to find out the square of 3, then you type in 2 as the power. When you press the enter key, you see 9 in the result set, right? So 3 raised to the power 2 is 9. Next we're going to talk about comparison operators. So I'm going to create 2 variables. So the first variable that I'm going to create is a. I'll give it the value 15. The second variable that I'm going to create is b, and I'll give it the value 10. And if I want to check whether a equals b or not, then I can use the double equal to comparison operator, and that operator is used for equality checks. So if I want to check whether a is equal to B or not, I'll type in the equal to symbol twice, and this is what it should look like. So you type in A first, two equal to symbols, and then the second variable name, which is B. When I press the enter key, I see the result as false. So A is not equal to B because they have different values. Obviously, A is 15 and B is 10. And if I check whether A is not equal to B, so this is the reverse of the previous test. And the operator for this is you type in the exclamation symbol first and then the equal to symbol. So this, these two symbols put together is the not equal to check, right? And when I press the enter key now, I see that I get true as a result because 15 and 10 are not equal to each other. And then if I want to check whether A is greater than B or not, I'll simply type in A greater than B, and that is true because A is 15 and B is 10. And if I check whether A is less than B or not, then I get the result as false. So I hope you guys are keeping a note of the operators here. So the greater than operator is this symbol, right? It's called the I don't know, the left angular bracket, I suppose, and then this symbol is known as the right angular bracket. I could be wrong, I'm not sure about this, but then I am sure that you guys are familiar with these symbols. And then if you want to check whether A is equal to or greater than B, so this basically checks whether A is equal to B. If that's not true, then whether A is greater than B. If any of those values is true, then the result is true, right? So A has to be greater than B or it has to be equal to B. And the next one, or the last one that we're going to check out in this tutorial, is the less than equal to operator. So I'll type in A, then the less than symbol, the equal to symbol, and then B. And this is obviously false because A is greater than B. Right, so thank you so much for watching this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we are going to check out the bitwise operators and logical operators in Python. And I hope you guys are having fun, and stay tuned to my channel for more updates, and you can subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next tutorial. Take care till then. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is the 10th tutorial in this course, and in this tutorial we are going to continue our discussion on operators and discuss the bitwise operators as well as the logical operators in Python. Right, so the bitwise operators work on binary numbers, or more specifically the bits in the binary numbers, right? So if you guys are not familiar with the bitwise operations like the AND operation or exclusive OR operations, then you can Google them up and you can find out more about them. But then I'll just tell you about these things in brief. So a true value is 1 and a false value is 0, and when you perform the AND operation on 2 bits, then the result is true only when both bits are true, right? Or when both bits are 1. And if you perform the OR operation, then the result will be true even if any one of the 2 bits is true or 1, right? And when you perform the exclusive OR operation, then the value or the result that you get will be true only if the bits are different, right? So one has to be 1 and the other has to be 0, and it doesn't matter which one is 1 and which one's 0, right? So we're going to see how we can perform these operations in Python. And the electronics guys would be more interested in this tutorial because they are the people who do this like a lot more than the other guys, right? So the first thing that I'm going to do is create 2 variables. So I'll name my first variable A and I'll give it the value 15, and I'll call my second one B and I'll give it the value 10, right? And let's check out the binary values of these 2 numbers. So I'll type in bin and within parentheses the name of the variable A to see the binary value of 15, which is 1111, and 0b of course here means that this is a binary value, so it's got nothing to do with the value itself, but then it's just an indication that what follows is the binary value for the number 15, right? And then I'll check out the binary value of B as well by typing in bin, and within parentheses I'll type in the name of the variable B, and there you go, the binary value or the binary code for B is 1010. So if I want to perform the AND operation on A and B, then what I'll do is I'll simply fetch the binary output of the AND operation. So you perform the AND operation by typing your first operand and then the ampersand symbol or the AND symbol, and then the second operand, which will be B. So if I perform this outside the function, then it will still work, but then since I'm interested in checking out the binary code of the output, I'll enclose this within parentheses for the binary function, right? So when I press the enter key now, I see that the result is 1010, and we can verify it whether it is correct or not. So the result of 1 and 0 is 0, and then 1 and 1, since both are 1, has to be 1. And then again here for the third bit from the right, 1 and 0 will result into 0, and then 1 and 1, the fourth bit from the right or the first bit from the left will result into 1, right? So the AND operation has worked successfully, correctly. And to perform the OR operation, again I'll type in the binary function, and within parentheses the OR operator is the pipe symbol, right? So I'll type in A first, and then the pipe symbol, and then B. And when I press the enter key, I see that the result is 1111, and that's because A is all 1, right? So if you perform the OR operation between A and any other number, then the result will be all 1, right? And the last bitwise operator that we're going to check out is the exclusive OR operator, and the symbol for that is the hat symbol, and you would find it over the key 6 on most standard keyboards. Obviously you'll have to shift up. So I'll type in BIN, and then within parentheses A, and then the hat symbol, and then B. And this is also known as the exponentiation symbol in some languages, and I hope you guys can locate it on your keyboard. And then when I press the enter key, I see that the result is 0101, and 0 has been removed from the leftmost bit, because even if it's there, it's not going to make any difference to the actual value of the number. So this output is actually 0101, but then you are not seeing the leftmost 0 here, right? So you can verify this. 1 and 0, here the bits are different, so that's why the result is 1, and here the bits are same, so the result is 0. Here again the bits are different, so the result is 1, and then at the last position the bits are same, so that's why the result is 0, and hence it hasn't been displayed. So that's it about bitwise operators. Now we're going to talk about the logical operators, and the logical operators work at the macro level with the true or false values, right? So whereas the bitwise operators work on individual bits, the logical operators work on whole values, right? And they work on true and false values. And in Python, all non-zero numbers are true and only 0 is false. So even negative numbers are true. It's just that only the number 0 has the truth value of false, whereas all other numbers have the truth value of true, right? So what I'm going to do is create two variables, and I'll again use A and B as the names, and I'll assign the value true to A, and I'll assign the value false to B. So to perform the AND operation on A and B, I'll type in A first, and then A and D, the word and this is actually the AND logical operator. And what you have to make sure is that you provide a space immediately before and immediately after the AND operator, right? So there has to be space on either side, and then the second operand, which is B. And when I press the enter key, I see the result as false, because as I said, AND operation results into true only when both values are true, but in this case, since B is false, the result is false. And to perform the OR operation, I'll type in A first, and then the word OR, and then the second operand B. When I press the enter key, I see the result as true, because since A is true, it doesn't matter what B is, the result is obviously going to be true, right? And the last operator that we're going to check out is the NOT operator, and this operator simply reverses the truth value of of a variable. So A, we know here, is true, so if I perform the NOT operation on A, then in the result I'll get false, and if I perform the NOT operation on B, then in the result I'll get true, because B is false, right? And the NOT operator here does not change the value of A. So if I check out what A is, A still is true, but then if you'll perform the NOT operation on A, then in the result you'll get false, right? So that's it about the bitwise and logical operators. In the next tutorial, we're going to talk about few more operators and probably wrap up our discussion on operators and proceed to some more interesting stuff in Python. And I hope you guys are having fun in the course, and you may subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is the 11th tutorial in this course, and in this tutorial we're going to talk about membership and identity operators in Python. So the membership operators let you check whether a value is present in a set or not, right? So if you have a string and if you want to check whether there is a word in a string or not, something that you want to look for, then you use the in membership operator, and that's what we're going to talk about, and that's what we're going to check out right now. So I'll create a string and I'll call it str1, and I'll put some text in it, like I have a lazy dog, right? And I'll press the enter key to create my string. I can check whether it has been created or not. So there you go. I see the text in the string. I have a lazy dog. So now let's say if I want to check whether the word dog is present in my string or not, then I'll type in dog within double quotes or single quotes, right? Because I'm making a string check, a comparison between a string and another string. So I'll type in dog within double quotes and then the in operator, right? This is the in membership operator, and then I'll type in the name of my string, which is str1. And there you go. I see true as the result, and that's because the word dog is present in my string. If I check something else like lion in str1, I get false, right? So what the in operator does is it checks whether the characters that you've mentioned within quotes, whether these characters are there in the string or not. It doesn't really care whether the word dog exists separately. Like for instance, in this string, the word dog exists separately, but then even if we had the word dogmatic in the string, instead of just having dog, we would have got true as a result. So, it checks whether the characters are there and also whether the characters are there in the sequence that you've specified. So it's not necessary that, there can't be any characters after the character G in a word in the string. There could be more characters after it, but then since it found dog in this sequence in the string, it gave us true, right? And the in operator works on lists, tuples, and dictionaries too. So let's create a list and see how the in operator works on a list. And I'll give my list numeric values, and of course we'll have to use square brackets to create it. So the values that I'll give to it are 1 and 3 and then 19 and 32. Let me give it a couple more values, so 48 and 77, right? And if I want to see whether 65, the number 65 is present in my list or not, I'll type in 65 in the name of my list, I press the enter key, I get false because 65 is not there in the list. And if I check with something that's there in the list, let's say if I want to check 19 in my list, I see true, right? Because 19, the number 19 is there in the list. So that's it about membership operators. Next we're going to talk about the identity operators. So the identity operators compare memory locations of objects, and they tell you whether two variables have the same value as well as the same data type, right? So I'll illustrate this with the help of an example again. So I'll create two variables. The first one A, I'll give it the value 42, and the next variable B, and I'll give this to the value 42, but not the number 42, but I enclose the characters 4 and 2 within single quotes, so this will be a string value, right? And if I want to see whether A and B are the same or not, I'll type in A and then is and then B, right? So this is the is identity operator. When I press the enter key, I get false as a result, because even though A and B have identical values, 42 and 42, but then the data types of A and B are different. So A is a numeric variable, whereas B is a string variable, right? So that's what the is operator does. It checks whether the values are same, as well as whether data types are same, and if both conditions evaluate to true, only then it gives you true as a result, otherwise it gives you false. So in Python, how it happens is, like, when you create a variable, like for instance when we gave the value 42 to A, an object 42 was created, and then A was linked to it, right? So, or we can say that 42 was referenced by A, and when we created the variable B, a string object 42 was created, and then B was linked to the string object. So even though they have the same values 42 and 42, they both are pointing to different objects. So that's why the is operator is going to give you false. And if I create another variable C and give it the value 42, the numeric the number 42, and if I check whether A is the same as C or not, I'll get true, because here the values are the same as well as the data types are the same. And the counterpart of is not, and what that does is it basically checks whether either the values are different or whether the data types are different. So if I would run is not on between A and B, then I'll get true, right? Because in this case they both have different data types. So that's it about membership and identity operators in Python. In the next tutorial, we're going to talk about operator precedence. Till then, take care, and you may subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and thank you so much for watching this video. Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is the 12th tutorial in this course, and in this tutorial we are going to talk about operator precedence in Python. And let's just have a look at an expression. So let's say you want to add two numbers, 5 and 4, and then you want to multiply the result of this with the number 2, right? So this is the expression that you would frame like 5, you add 4 to it, then you multiply the thing with 2, and what is the result that we should get? So 5 plus 4 is 9, and then 9 times 2 is 18, so that's what we should get, right? When I press the enter key, I get 13 as the result instead. And why has this happened? It has happened because the multiplication operator enjoys a higher precedence than the addition operator, right? So what happened instead was 4 was multiplied to 2 before 4 was added to 5, right? So 4 times 2 is 8, and then 8 was added to 5 to get 13. We were expecting it to return 18, we got 13 as the answer instead, right? So this is how operator precedence can ruin your life. And it's you know, if you guys are wondering, okay, how are we going to know? You know, there are so many operators that we've checked out, you know, all the arithmetic operators, and then comparison operators, and then logical, bitwise, and the membership identity, and you know, all of those. How are we going to know what stands where in the operator precedence chart? Then the answer to that is that you don't have to know. You know, it's not that you just need to know that. And I have worked with a lot of programming languages, but I have never cared to memorize the operator precedence chart. But then if you want to refer to it, then of course you can Google it up, or you can go to Python's website and check it out there, or you can refer to the documentation that comes along with your interpreter. You can do all those things. But then, you know, I have a way through which you can, you know, ignore knowing the operator precedence chart, and that is, you know, through the use of parentheses. So let's say if in the above expression you wanted to add 5 and 4 first and then multiply the result with 2, you could simply enclose 5 and 4 within parentheses, and then, you know, have the same thing after that. When I press the enter key now, what Python does is it figures out, okay, since these two are in parentheses, I have to perform the addition operation first. So it does that, and then it multiplies the result with 2. So, you know, this is how parentheses can be so convenient. And if you guys are wondering, okay, you know, if I do this, then maybe my program is going to get slow, my script is not going to execute as fast. But that's not true. You know, it's going to work at the same speed, and it's not going to slow down your program, the use of parentheses. And you know, you can have parentheses to a level as deep as you want. So you can nest parentheses within another set of parentheses, and you know, you can do whatever you want to do, as long as you keep a track of, you know, having the same set of opening parentheses and closing parentheses. So that can be a challenge, you know, matching the opening parentheses with the closing parentheses. But then I guess if you compare that with the complexity that you have to deal with, you know, with or without the knowledge of operator precedence, then, you know, I guess parentheses are still more convenient. So, you know, that's it for now. In the next tutorial, we are going to begin our discussion on decision constructs in Python. And this is where real programming in Python is going to begin, and I'm excited about it. We're going to check out the if statement, and I hope you guys had fun watching this tutorial. Thank you so much, and you may subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care.